Welcome to Scene Invaders. You got Dan, Billy, and Felicia here. And today we're here to talk The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 called Future Days. Now, just so you guys know, we have all played the games. We know what is going to happen. If you're like that in the comment section, cool. But there's people that are watching this that have no idea what's going to happen. So we're going to kind of attack it that way. And they are making some changes, which TV shows do. That
Good.
happen. Yeah, when a book becomes a movie, that happens also. So that's cool. But let's talk about the beginning of this episode with Joel lying about the fireflies.
Everything you said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
She's in a state that she hates him 5 years later. I'm confused as to their relationship and why she's acting such a bitch to him.
Yeah, I think it's she just knows he's lying.
Yeah.
In the flashback, she knows he's lying for sure. So she's just like mad that he's choosing to lie instead of being honest. And she's acting like a teen girl.
I will say, Joel making that decision, the one that defines the game, defines the series, frankly, will define where the rest of this is going. We're going to see more, everyone. There has obviously been things and conversations that have happened within the last 5 years. And the show will get to it. The game got to it. So we will be informed. Now, obviously, we have the general idea here, and no one is really wrong. And it's not going to get much bigger than the fact that she knows what happened there. She knows she was captured. She knows she's immune. And she knows all of a sudden she's out in the highway waking up and everything's fine. And he said nothing happened and he didn't do anything. Obviously full of crap. It's the level of wanting control. There's no control to be had in the apocalypse, right? And for someone who feels like she has this gift, so on, so she's not allowed to talk about it. If she were to tell anyone, she would be ostracized. At least that's the fear. That's obviously Joel's fear, that they would
Mhm.
try to give her over or try to do the same thing that the Fireflies were going to do. But this is what this series is going to be. This season is going to be a lot of us who have watched it, and a lot of you who have not played the games, a lot of screaming at decisions that are going to be
Mhm.
made and
Yeah.
consequences for decisions that were going to be made. And I think as a viewer, what we're all going to have to try to be able to do is realize that two things can exist at the same time. Someone can make a decision that we would make, and we also are allowed to not like them for it, or others are not
Right.
allowed to not like them and not do not have to sympathize with who we sympathize with. And that first scene, guys, right off the bat, we know why they're there. We know what their goal is.
Yeah. Let's talk about Abby. Caitlin Dever is playing Abby. We're
Mhm.
introduced to her, and can we tell why she wants to kill Joel? That's not a spoiler, right? We can say that, right?
They haven't said it
They
yet.
haven't really said it. You
They
know that
haven't.
they've obviously lost people, but we don't because they
Yeah.
had the graves
All
there,
right, then we'll hold
so
it
they
back.
lost,
They're
but
in the
yeah.
same club.
Yeah. All right, we'll hold it back for now. But she has a mission that she wants to kill Joel, and
Mhm.
5 years have passed, and by the end of the episode, she gets to where Joel's at. So that's what's going on with her. I'm actually quite impressed with the casting. She's not as buff as Abby was in the game, but she looks pretty much, she looks like her. I think the casting is
Yeah.
pretty spot on with Caitlin Dever. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting her to be the opening scene either, so that was nice. I do
Yeah.
agree with her not being so buff though, because I feel like that's such a big part of her character, right? But I
Yeah.
do I do still like her though, and maybe they will, show her a little bit.
I
Maybe she's been working
interesting.
out.
Interesting. God, I can't even say it. Interestingly enough, I was commenting on this when I was watching with my wife. I'm not a game player, so didn't know about that. And when I saw that, and especially when we saw that, no, we don't, I guess we haven't seen her in the flash forwards, but it almost to me seems like maybe they toned down the muscularity to maybe try to avoid some of the toxicity
Mhm.
of already. I mean, the Bella Ramsey casting, right, was toxic enough. We had to deal with that all last season. We're gonna have to deal with now her being a romantic lead and all the toxicity I'm sure we're gonna get.
Yeah.
And frankly, the Abby stuff, if you played the game when it released way back when, half of the conversation is about the decision that's made about a certain character's fate. And the other half of the game was just everyone talking about how buff she is and how we don't want, say, a trans or a certain message shoved down their throats, which is like, maybe they just didn't want to deal with it. Maybe they just
Yeah.
wanted the story to
Oh,
be the story.
Or
well,
Caitlyn
speaking
was just so good that they just had to go
Yeah,
with her.
yeah,
Sorry,
maybe
yeah.
she
Couldn't
was
find a
no, no,
buff
no.
chick.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Maybe she just suited the role so well that they're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, let's go with you."
Hey guys, quick editor's note. Neil Druckmann has addressed this and stated that they were looking more for acting ability as opposed to 100% character authenticity in the game. Personally, I think they were trying to avoid the controversy as well. Again, let us know what you think in the comments. Comment down below.
We don't
And-
know
Love
who
to hear it.
auditioned, so
Yeah.
probably the
So
best.
I think it's important to remember that the hate that Bill spoke of is still very loud with Ellie, with Bella Ramsey. I'm seeing that on Twitter. I saw it all day long. People making fun of her and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's there, but we're not going to talk about that here. But
Yeah.
in the 5-year time jump, she is now a professional MMA fighter. She choked the hell out of that guy.
I
And that guy
love
was
that.
massive. So yeah, they're
Mhm.
showing that she can she can hold her own. She's a good fighter. And towards the end of the episode, we'll bounce back and forth a little bit. Joel stands up for her after the guy calls them dykes, and she doesn't like that. He stood up for her. She's like, I can take care of myself. But she was like charging after that guy. So what was she gonna do?
Yeah.
Go and punch him? What was she gonna do
Probably.
before Joel
Yeah.
stepped in?
100%.
she
Ellie's
definitely
ballsy.
did.
She was gonna punch him. Yeah.
Yeah.
She probably
Yeah.
would have given him the Hurricane Rana, like you said, Dan. It's not going to be the last time over the next few seasons we're going to see Ellie go to violently overreact.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
Yeah, it was an
I-
overreaction because I mean, as a parent, like, like you don't know, like that's just what you jump to do. You just go to protect. You don't really think.
You don't
So
really
like I
think
know
about
she
it, yeah.
doesn't understand that, but as a parent, I get that. At the same time, I understand her, but it's also like I understand him. So it's like a battle of, like he said, like two things can be true at once.
Yeah. And well, you guys are
That's
both
their
parents.
relationship.
You're both
Yeah.
parents. I'm sitting here like, yeah, I get it. I'm not a parent, but
And so-
I
But if you have a
understand what you're
niece or a
talking about.
nephew or
Yeah.
anything like that,
Yeah,
you just
I do
don't
have
think.
those.
You
I
see
do have
someone
those.
fucking with someone you love and you're just gonna
Yeah.
jump in, like you don't really care.
Like,
Exactly. It's the whole point of the
Like,
game. It's like the both of the worlds, like both can be like right. It's
he's going to therapy. He's going to learn.
All
two
right,
things
that's
that exist
my
at the
next
same
point.
time.
That's my next
Yeah.
point. So Joel's in therapy. What you guys think of of that therapy scene? Who's that? Catherine O'Hara that he was
Yes, the
bouncing off of?
best.
Yeah, she's also in
Awesome.
the studio right now. She's doing a
Amazing.
great job in that right now too.
The best.
Yeah, I like that scene. Apparently, he killed her husband, and that's something that she's pissed about, and she let
Yeah.
him know. So
Eugene.
yeah, Eugene. Yeah. So yeah, what'd you guys think about that scene?
That was actually one of my favorite moments. I
Oh,
wrote it
really?
down, especially since in the beginning
Me
he
too.
gives her, I think he gives her weed as like a payment, like
Yeah, he
right, like
does.
that's how
Yeah.
he's like, take this, and then she's like, "What is stems and seeds? What am I in high school?" I love that little part. I love her so much, and I like that it was kind of like he didn't open up all the way, but we saw his point of view a little bit. But he's obviously leaving a big part out of it, and she calls him out on it. So I actually really like that scene.
What
Yeah.
she does is, one, she calls him out on it, but what she also does is she walks the walk as well. She shows him, looks him in the face and says, "Hey, I have something really uncomfortable that I don't want to
Mhm.
say. And guess what? I'm going to show you that you can actually do it and the world isn't going to end." That's something that is really striking with Joel. Something I also think, and I'm hoping, is that they use this as a plot framing device throughout the next few seasons. I hope we see more of these conversations, even if
Me
it's
too.
episodes down the line and these are past conversations. Even I'd love for that to be a framing device, because I think it could be, the game does it. They use Joel very strategically in certain conversations, very strategically, and I have all the faith that they're going to do that here. But with her being there, she's so good. I can't have her presence end in a few episodes or by the end of
Yeah,
Right.
right.
like I
Yeah.
need more of her just based off of that.
I agree.
I could also see her getting killed off pretty quick though. I could see
Aw.
that. I could see that happening, you
with
know.
I hope
with what we
not.
saw in the pipes. But
Yeah,
we'll get to
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
One thing I
Oh,
want to
fuck.
say too, Dan, she brought up, and I want to get your guys' reaction. I think this was like a really poignant moment. Was that when also in that therapy scene, and we've all, I mean, I've been actively in therapy, for years. I think anyone ever has will understand this.
Absolutely.
She says it's like, you can't change or fix anything that you're too afraid to admit and to say out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't say it out loud. You can't
Fix it.
vocalize your fear. You can't vocalize your problem. You can't fix shit, man. So you could just sit there and get up and storm off and be a hardo and say you saved her. But until you say what you did, you ain't getting anywhere, man. And
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
Absolutely.
big.
Yeah.
And you gotta say it before you gotta say it. Say it when you can.
Yeah.
Gotta admit it. Yeah. The big part of the episode to me, not well, it was big to me. I love the moral dilemma of saying, hey, we don't have much more room left. There's still people trying to get in. And he's like, well, don't let them in. I love the moral dilemma of that. Like, there's people out there fighting for their lives. We have electricity. We have a system here. We're safe. Maybe not safe for long with what
Yeah.
what was going on in the pipes. But I love that moral dilemma when they were talking when he was talking to Tommy's wife about shit. Do we let more people in? It's like, what do you
Mhm.
do in that scenario? It's
Yeah.
I love it. Felt really human to me.
Yeah, because I wouldn't know what the fuck to do. That's such a hard choice. And like you said, like morally, you feel like you have to let them in because what if there's families out there? But at the same time, he's right about like if we can't take care of our own, then
Yeah,
we have like nothing.
yeah.
So it is
Uh,
so tough. I would hate to be the leader. Don't pick me as leader because I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what to do.
it's happening, right? I mean, it's an allegory for what's happening in our world, right? Like, we're in a country right now. Do you let people in, or do you say we have our own problems and we don't already have enough for ourselves? Do we let others in though? But hey, they're in way worse situation. It is. It's a crazy way to look, but that's
Hmm.
why it strikes so hard though, because it's not too far-fetched. This is not
Exactly.
much of a stretch. This is exactly how it would be. You would cover and watch a lot of other type of like apocalyptic type end of the world shows, and this is what a dilemma would be, because it's the truth. If you have X amount of resources and you have your people safe,
Hmm.
are you willing to make one of your people, are you willing to let your kid be 5% less safe or 5% less comfortable for someone else to come in,
Yeah,
right?
That you don't
exactly. Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
you don't know if you trust. Like people could be
And
lying or
like she said, he was in that position before. Like
right.
Exactly.
he was
That's
one of
what
those
makes it
people.
so tough is they are just
Exactly.
people.
Yeah.
And how does one life, how can you say one life is more valuable than another? But it is
Just
like when it's your own, it's very
Mm-hmm.
complicated.
Yes.
for what's coming, that is the most important line of the episode. Joel, remember you were left out. You were a refugee once. For what's coming, for how a situation is framed that's going to and not end well. That will be an informative, or maybe the informative factor or thought in his mind when he says, okay, well, I've been left out before. I've been found out in the wild before. Do
I
the
see what
right
you're
thing.
saying. I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. Let's talk about my favorite part of this episode, which was Ellie and Dina on patrol. Now,
Hmm.
they definitely weren't following the rules, and they were
Does
just
she
like,
ever?
hey,
I thought Dan was going to say my favorite part was when they were in the dance and
Oh,
um, they made out. Yeah, hell yeah. Girls
that
kissing.
was a good part. That was a good part though.
Oh yeah. No, it
But
was
no, I agree with you.
yeah.
That was a fun part.
When they were on patrol, they go in there, they kill the clicker. Ellie kills the clicker. I thought that was badass.
Me
And
too.
then falling through the roof like that, it was really cool. And then the new type of zombie that is smart and evolved and thinks and hides and plans and attacks. That's scary. And she got bit again, but it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
she's immune. But I thought that was so sick, and I hope we see a lot more of those zombies this
Fuck
season.
yeah.
Ones that plan their attack out. It's scary, man.
Yeah, and I felt like it was like mimicking like a person like as they were like eating it or something. Like that type of like scream. Like it sounded like it was mimicking a human, like trying
Yes.
to like draw her in like an injured human or something to get her to look. It was creepy as fuck. I was terrified. But I also
Crawling.
wrote, yeah, that was
Yeah.
my favorite part when it was like super quiet and she first falls and you see it like running in the background and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was super creepy. And also their like little sign language they were doing. Like I thought that was so
Yeah.
funny. Ellie's like she
Yeah.
just has to be goofy. She just can't
Yeah.
help herself.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that was good. Bill?
no, it's the natural evolution, and there are some fan favorite zombies that appear in part two. So it's very cool to see that evolution, right? The physical and mental threat of it doesn't make your walls feel very safe, right? You're like, oh, well, they're just going to sit there and bang their heads into our gates. But if you know that they can
Mhm.
actually think and hide and plan,
Trap you.
changes a lot of things. And I'm curious to see as next week comes and the following weeks how they incorporate that, right? Because they are going to change some things, right? They are going to
Yeah.
add some threats and stretch the threats out and maybe cut some of the geography out. Maybe we're not really sure yet. I mean, I'm going to
Mhm.
follow the general plot line, but it would be cool to see those type of zombies in the town, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
Oh
be
man.
really cool.
Oh man, that would be cool. Yeah, so they had a whole town meeting about it. They were like, maybe it was a one-off, but it's definitely not going to be a one-off. and then she has to cut herself to cover up the bite. You know, she did what she did. What was it? Chemical burn she put on her arm to cover up the bite on her
Mhm.
arm, and then also got a tattoo to cover that one.
Yeah.
And then she has to literally cut herself
Slice
and
it.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and stitch it
Ooh.
up so people don't get ideas in their heads, whatever idea that might be. But
Yeah,
use
that
her for
sucks though.
good, use her for bad. They just don't want people to know. I mean, at least Tommy and Joel feel that way. She was screaming it earlier in the episode. I'm immune, I'm immune. So like, I don't know if she really gives a fuck, but I think she kind of care. Like, I think she kind of respects that they care and wants to keep that a secret as long as she
Yeah,
can.
I agree.
So yeah, and then we already talked about the part where Joel jumped in, and then Abby gets there by the end. And it sets up some crazy shit that's gonna go down. So we see what looks like some sort of what was that in the pipes? Can someone explain
Fungus,
that?
like the
Yeah,
fungi. Yeah.
like the zombie shit growing in the
Mhm.
pipes.
Cordyceps. Yeah, it's like
The
the cordyceps
cordyceps.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's gonna happen with that?
Maybe I'm thinking too big, but like I feel like it's gonna show that like the whole town, most of that town is like actually like rotted out and stuff, and it's like maybe there's like maybe it's like not structurally safe, all of it. I don't think it's gonna collapse like Gears of War style, but like I think there are gonna be chances that like the pipes in a lot of these houses and basements and stuff are gonna have like the fungus going into them, and maybe I don't think we're gonna see the zombies crawling out of the pipe or anything.
That's what
like
I'm.
that.
Yeah, I don't
But
see
it
that
can like
either.
if someone goes close to it, say try to fix a pipe, they can get infected that way.
That's what I'm
Right?
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I'm
Yikes.
pretty sure if you were to touch that or get that on you,
Even
you
like
would get it.
breathing.
Isn't it the
Yeah.
whole point? They made sure to really stress in the first season of the show, way more even so than I think in the game, is that like it's all connected, right? So like
Yeah.
Frank, if the cordyceps are now in your town, like they know you're there.
Right.
Yeah,
No
that's
more
true.
guessing. You're part
That's
of their
exactly what
network
my
now.
husband said actually when we saw it. He was like, they know they're there.
They know they're there now, and that's the thing. They're not the wandering zombies out. Because I think a lot of people even watch the show, and it's everyone's. I don't blame them, but I think people think about like Walking Dead, right? And they just
Yeah.
so everyone's just like
And
wandering.
it's not
right?
that. It's not
It's
that.
not at
that.
all.
They stressed
Yeah.
early on that this is like a smart bacteria spreading throughout the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they're pinged. So you're playing a video game and you just open the little area now. You know they're there and they're not safe anymore. They're not anonymous. They're not
Okay.
anonymous to the zombies. They're not anonymous to Abby anymore.
Yes. Great way to put
100%.
it. Yeah, that's the way that the episode ends. I think it was a great setup for the season. Only 7 episodes, so it's going to be a quick ride. It's going to be over before you know it. And there's going to be some crazy shit that goes down this season. I can't wait for the non-players
Buckle up.
to find out what happens. And
Me
for you guys
too.
that know what we're talking about, just keep it to yourself for now.
If you
But
know,
yeah,
you know.
if you know, we'll be here to talk about
No
it every
spoilers.
no spoilers, but we'll be here to talk about it every week. So yeah, I can't wait to see that scene. I can't wait to see this whole season. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. Later.
Peace. Like, Billy, how are you gonna say like your team Abby? Like it's like I have a kid. Yeah, I would do the same thing Joel did, but I could also say Joel's an asshole.